Today on Lulz, will Brian release his sim results for the PGA Championship? More spillover from the tout conversation from last week, and maybe, just maybe, a little bit of farming talk.
Does he think? I think he thinks this. He thinks this is a go. Vegas Dave thinks this is a go.
Hot naked girl doing it.
What?
Why don't you just win like a man?
Random.org. Type in 1 for yes, 2 for no, and let the DFS gods pick for you.
And I'm absolutely begging you not to do plus. Please don't do plus.
Brian, it's Wednesday. How are we doing?
Good. How you doing, pal?
Widget, the price widget off my home screen. Although I need to go turn off. Like I'll get these things from Gemini that'll tell me like if something in my portfolio moves more than 5%. And so I've been getting way too many of the Ethereum. If it wasn't for those, I would do a obviously I can gauge sentiment by people talking on Twitter, but I actually wouldn't know the prices if it weren't for that stupid Gemini alert.
Yeah, if you're not going to sell, get rid of it.
I know. I need to do that now.
You got lucky, though, because you kept your money in the safest store of value, Moonbird. So
it is wild. I mean, everything taking a bath, and that's like the fact that hasn't taken a dump is a miracle. It really does feel like everything was going to zero.
That's strange. I mean, it's kind of like that hidden cost of inflation, where like if the price of a product stays the same, inflation didn't go up technically, but really the product would have gone down in price due to whatever competition or technological improvements. But so your Moonbird could be worth 40, who knows, 45 or.
Yeah, like if this would have been like, if their timing had been launched in more of a bull market or something, like now you really start to wonder what it could have done in that kind of environment.
Yeah, right. And ETH is down too.
I know. All right, I just logged into Gemini. I'm going to get this notification out.
You're doing that live before you forget. The did you see any Vitalik's tweets lately?
No. I fucking hate the Twitter algorithm now, man. Why do I miss all the good stuff? I just see stupid PFP stuff. What did he say? I'll pull it up.
Oh, he said that he thinks the FDIC should insure the Terra bag holders, like up to $250,000, and just a whole bunch of commies bullshit.
I'm surprised well, I guess ETH had similar beginnings with the kind of the fork bailout for their original chain that was compromised by that big DAO hack. So he clearly there's a precedent for him not minding a little intervention in some cases.
Yeah, that's true. He I don't know. He's been kind of, I don't like his the thesis of his tweets the past like year kind of seems counter to the crypto ethos or beginning of the ethos. A lot of the stuff he's been doing. I love ETH too, but I don't know. I have a lot of my ETH locked up in staking. So maybe he could bang out that 2.0 real quick before he starts fucking chirping about this stuff.
I don't know if I obviously feel awful for, anyone who got wrecked hard by that, but like this does not feel like a bailout situation to me.
Yeah, no, I had some Luna too. Yeah, it sucks. I don't. Anytime number goes down is bad in any of this stuff. But you do not want to you don't want the biggest name in crypto, I guess, to be calling for government intervention.
Right.
That's crypto now. Okay.
Yeah.
Like it sucks. I if those people could get their money back, that'd be great somehow without the government getting. Do you think the government's going to handle this well? Like if they get into it, I still can't explain what happened, and I've looked into it for like at least an hour or two.
No,
these idiots are going to know what happened and how to fix it, and give me a break.
No, you do not want anyone looking under the hood of exactly what happened here. Like that would be just massively detrimental for the space.
And it's not even the craziest shit that's going on,
No.
you know? So like they're just gonna, it would probably, like if they really looked under the hood, it could really kill the market in more ways than one. One, it would just like a lot of the innovative things going around might not happen. Some of the people might get cold feet and start like exiting some of these Ponzi's, which might be a good idea. I mean, like, but if you're gambling and playing like hot potato, I mean, like we all are to some extent, right? Like I don't have just Bitcoin.
Right. I even think, I mean, you can ascribe whatever kind of larger philosophical reasons to holding some of these specific coins, but come on, at the end of the day, we're speculating and we're gambling. Right. And like at what point we're bailing out gamblers who are chasing, unrealistic that non-FDIC insured yields here? Like, I don't know. I don't get that.
I get like you're right though. I mean, it sucks when people lose money, and but like you put in $1,000 in the beginning, and it ran it up to whatever, some absurd like $1 million, or at the peak probably made people a shit ton. Like we're gonna, as a tax base, refund that speculation. It doesn't, like, I think that's insane. I wish it didn't happen to him, but that's totally crazy.
It is totally crazy. And then you could even like calibrate it further, though. It was totally crazy to bail out the banks in a lot of ways too. And we did that. That's
not crazy at all. I mean, it was crazy for the government to fucking do that.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what started all this crypto stuff. That, and then Occupy Wall. Remember those days? Wow. That was back before everyone hated each other and they hated the banks. That was a lot more fun, wasn't it?
Yeah. Wow. I'm kind of like, I'm still processing this tweet because I'm trying to read it while talking on a show, but I'm kind of shocked that he's taking this kind of public position. And he's even also, I know in the past, has commented on understanding kind of how massive a platform he has and how he wants to kind of remain outside of some of these issues in a way that he doesn't want to control the narrative. Someone making a reference joke to Satoshi. I mean, that is one of the great things about the Satoshi narrative and the Bitcoin narrative, is that he's nowhere around to fuck things up or to steer it in one direction or the other.
Yeah, it's more of a benefit than anything.
Yeah. I wonder, I mean, does Vitalik, clearly a brilliant dude. Does he just have like Elon syndrome, where he's just like too extremely online and just feels like they have to have a take on everything at this point? I mean, isn't this a situation where even if you think that, Vitalik, you just don't tweet that one?
I could see that. Yeah. I think it's like this moral, he's having some sort of moral conundrum going on. Remember, like he donated all that sheep to who? India, some India charity or something. And so he's clearly, maybe he's got too much money. And Jack Dorsey kind of went like that too a bit, didn't he? Like he just, he became rich, and then he's just like, I'm gonna go on these retreats, that's what I'm gonna do, and talk about these bigger issues. Like the thing for me anyways with crypto is like letting people, have control over their own finances without state interference was the whole idea behind it. And that will come along with like bad shit. Like there will be trade-offs to that. Not that it's like, fiat dollars aren't used for horrible things every day.
Yeah.
Right. But like, you just have, like, doesn't mean we should get rid of this medium of exchange, right?
Right.
It's just so like you just got to deal with that.
Right. And I mean, some of this stuff, like, we see it happen. We've seen this play out lots of times, right? Where the pendulum of speculation and, over leveraged traders, whatever, security risk, it swings too far in the other direction. And then inevitably something corrects it and makes it a healthier market. Like the Mt. Gox situation kind of put a big light on how poor some of this crypto security was, and really, drove home for people what it meant to own your own Bitcoin. Or, we see these NFT projects and they get rugged and these guys move on. And now people only want to bet on Kevin Rose and non-doxed founders. And now something like this happens with UST. And it's like, okay, instead of just putting it into whatever yield exists, I'm going to actually look into what's going on here. So like, in a way, I do feel like if we're going to get full, libertarian here, it's like you let the market like work itself out in a way here, and then it matures and better products and better decisions come along after it.
Certainly, I agree with that. Like Dylan's latest comment here, I'm not completely following. Like, what? When do gamblers do that? When do gamblers cry for bailout? Like,
yeah, my guess is he means more just in general. People want to have it both ways, right? They want to be able to gamble, all of this, but then they also want the safety net too. And it's like you can't have your cake and eat it.
Right. Yes. Yeah, that's true. I could see like regular people wanting that because you're forced to be in these markets, like because of inflation. Who is going to keep their money in a 0.002% savings account? Who is not aware that prices are going up? Like everybody knows this, so you're forced to gamble. Essentially. Yeah. And so but who's forcing you? It's the Fed. It's the government's forcing your hand. So yeah, if you put the money in the best thing that they regulate, the stock market, and somehow they screw that up somehow, I could understand. I mean, saying, hey, okay, you got to bail us out. Sorry. But usually you're not going to get bailed out, right? They're going to bail out Lehman Brothers. They're going to bail out, AIG and all the companies. They're not going to bail you out.
Yeah. And I remember just, and I'm not saying like I'm some, brilliant investor, but when I was just going to put in some of essentially my crypto savings that I was never going to touch into like the Gemini Earn program or whatever, just to get some, like I was deep into the weeds reading the terms and conditions. I was asking Andy like the mechanics of how this works to like understand the downside risk there. What's the analogy, right? Are we picking up pennies in the middle of the highway here? Like I wanted to make sure I wasn't, doing that. So like the second you're in these other type of protocols with insane yields, like I just feel like the scale has to slowly be like, okay, I'm gambling and I'm not going to risk more than I'm willing to completely lose here.
Right. And we will never do this, but we could go through our archive here. And we said that we had to say it like at least 10 times. Like this is clearly like impossible Ponzi scheme level interest rates, but whatever, like we're gonna gamble on some of this stuff, but we know what we're getting into. And like it seemed like Terra did have that kind of touting, it's actual touting type of ethos going on with a bunch of people saying that this is some sort of future. So that it sucks for the guys who got I don't know, conned, I guess, into holding those bags till the end.
Yeah, and like you said, I mean, I probably can't find it now because he tweets so much, but Kobe, big crypto Twitter influencer, I think always has pretty sharp takes. I mean, he had put out just like a general post, if you're, sorry for everyone that, got wrecked and going through and like reading through the replies, like seeing how over leveraged some people were, where they really treated this as if it was like a Vanguard index fund, the way they poured all their money. They were taking loans out to then, realize these 20% yields and stuff. And it's like, it is really sad that there are still people who, buy into whatever it is, the touting, the marketing, the, whatever. Obviously they have to be responsible for their own actions, but there are a lot of people who are so susceptible to that kind of rhetoric pulling people into this.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to go that far. I think I think a lot of young people have a high risk tolerance, and actually that's when you should do some of these gambles, even if you think it's super risky. I don't think a lot of people who are just so gullible are that internet savvy. Like I couldn't even pull off how to farm some of these rates, and I looked into it for a couple. Like I don't want to do this. Is too much work. Like I'm not sure that that grandma is getting pulled into farming whatever coin for 60% ETH. I know obviously it's happening at a smaller level, but I don't know.
you have to be like, I mean, when we talked to Andy about it on Club Top Shot, this past last summer, I guess you could say, was like NFT summer. And then the year before that was DeFi summer. And Andy crushed in DeFi summer because there would be all of these new protocols that were offering insane yields, but he's a smart contract solidity developer that can go and audit the contract himself. He can literally look at the code and see what are the mechanisms for a rug pull. How long is this stuff locked up? You can, reverse engineer the game theory on when would be the optimal time to get out based on how much, total value is locked up. Like if you have that kind of knowledge, and you're smart enough, you could play that hot potato game and crush. And there's lots of people who did, but me, I can't fucking play that game. I don't know how to fucking audit a smart contract and know what I'm getting myself into.
Certainly. Yeah. I mean, I'm just saying, like, maybe that overlap of those Andys and super gullible people is probably not huge. It's probably, it's probably a lot of guys who just know what, they generally know what they're doing. They're taking a gamble, or, they're involved. Like, cause didn't CSU kind of hold a decent amount of Terra? Like, I mean, he's not a gullible dude. And, he thought it was a good product and, ate some losses.
His situation, and I don't want it. He was pretty coy with revealing exactly how much money he lost. He did say on Club Top Shot last night he literally lost millions, but he was a seed investor in that, and so he's still, yes, on paper he lost a shit ton amount that would make your mind explode, but he was still up on his Terra investment because he was in so early, which again comes back to Ponzi-nomics, right? You're still up because you were in so early.
What if Tether goes out?
Yeah, that would be bad.
Do you give that a greater than 0.1% chance of happening?
I mean, at this point, I guess I don't understand, the mechanics of it and exactly what would cause it to be paid.
Just guessing, pure guess.
Would it get nailed out? I don't think so. I think it would just actually lead to quicker regulation. Would just be my guess.
No, I mean. Just Tether going under. What do you, would you give it less than
a chance?
A chance, yeah.
I guess if I just had to put a number on it, I don't know, 5% or less chance.
And then Lou's already guessing my next question.
Yeah.
Let's say it does. What happens to the whole system?
Yeah, every bit of trust is completely eroded because at least right now people can say, oh, this was, a Ponzi scheme, backed by a shit coin. This is different. That's different. But if something that is so more like fundamental to the space, in the same way, right? If Bitcoin ever got hacked, or the 50, it'd be game over because every principle people hung their hat on would be gone. Okay.
I'm not that pessimistic. I think if Tether went under, I think Bitcoin would drop to 2,000. But I don't think Bitcoin's dead.
Yeah.
ETH, down to what, $15, $100 or something. And then that brings back an interesting thing. Okay, will Vitalik be chirping that he owes us money then? Because my money's locked up in staking that he didn't finish the product and I could have sold.
Yeah.
Right. Does he owe us his net worth? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't think he'd be willing to pony up. I guess he'd be willing to pony up other people's money like he did with that FDIC bullshit. But and then when we say then, oh, we need to tax everyone to pay for the bags that I fucked up. Like, what is he? He probably doesn't even believe, if you go fully, if you take the logic train all the way, I doubt he's really gonna believe everything he's been tweeting.
Right. Sean says here, I was told there would be golf. Sean, if there is one rule to lulls is if you come here expecting one thing, we will inevitably talk about something else for at least the first 30 minutes of the show. But then on the flip side, we do have Tommy here saying his first live lulls. Don't understand how more people haven't discovered you guys yet. Pump this algo, YouTube, get your shit together. Thank you, Tommy. This is a good time to remind you to like, to subscribe, to leave a comment, to help us farm engagement and trick the YouTube algo into showing us to more people.
Both those comments, Pete literally just did an engagement farming video on his other channel. So he's well aware. And I'm assuming that's not the Tommy G, the DFS.
I don't think so.
He would never be that complimentary.
I can't imagine Tommy G just having what is that, like a Yorkie or something? I can't imagine him just having a cute puppy.
No, and being nice and complimentary to somebody else's podcast. That's not happening.
That's wow, Governor. Do we really have to start these Twitch versus YouTube wars again?
Maybe that'll pump the algorithm for us.
You'll like this. So I was actually doing some Twitch research the other day. I'm trying to this year for the randomizer streams. I'm not going to use StreamYard. I'm going to be beefing up the production for it. So I was trying to get inspiration for like different kind of scenes that you could have, different just kind of styles for layouts. And, lots of people on Twitch do interesting things. So I was just scrolling and browsing through all the different scenes. And Brian, you thought naked yoga is weird. I mean, it gets so much fucking weirder on Twitch. I'm telling you.
Really? I thought there was no nudity. Is there? I thought they were a little stricter. I thought there was like no nudity at all on Twitch.
I was talking with Jordan about this. Jordan works with us over at Fantasy Life and knows a lot of the behind the scenes stuff with like content. And he was saying that what happened, like the reason YouTube or the Twitch like hot tub streamer meta started, where it's like there's a rule that you just can't be like in a bikini, like just doing like nothing. But as long as you were like gaming, then you could justify like your attire. So that's why all of the gamers started doing like the hot tub thing because they were, it's, plausible deniability there. But I was scrolling through, this was the weirdest one I saw. There was a girl and she was in a bra and she was like in a library and the name of the video was, "Will You Help Me Study?" And I clicked the video naturally. And she's literally like just in the foreground, just like literally reading a book, doing nothing else. There's no interaction with the chat. And so, as the viewer, I'm trying to answer I don't know how to help her study. Like she wasn't, asking, can we quiz her with like flashcards or anything? So Twitch is a confusing place, Brian.
Did you send her any bits?
I did. I did not. I saved all my bits for my own YouTube channel.
This is the second week in a row with bra related for you. This must be your thing. Last week you had the bras. You clicked on the Ariana Grande wears bra to brother's wedding. Now this bra girl.
Well, did you see on what happened at the end of you probably didn't, on Splash Play on Wednesday or last week, Monday, they started talking about like the new thing is someone comes in and asks Spags if he's seen some wife or girlfriend of an NFL player. This week it was Drew Lock's girlfriend. And then the chat gets all horned up. I'm trying to talk best ball draft strategy. These guys are all, slurping up these Instagram posts from this girl.
Yeah, you got to keep them separated at least for a little while.
Yeah.
You can't think straight.
I know. Yes Man says he saw a Twitch once, title was bending over in tight pants, and that was literally the whole stream. I mean, at least you can, that's not clickbait, right, Brian? You're delivering on your promise at that point.
No, yeah, I don't think much of that is actually clickbait. It's if they actually started playing video games, you'd be like, what the fuck's going on here? Hey, if they can make money, who gives a shit? I mean, I guess, and also it's up, if Twitch doesn't want that on their platform, then so be it. I mean, who cares if they got this quasi OnlyFans thing going on? Who gives a shit?
As Brian said, you guys have probably already seen by now, I do have another YouTube channel I made for non-live stream stuff. My new video here asks the question, should I become an engagement farmer? And I will say, if you make it to the end, there is going to be a giveaway, as all good engagement farmers do. Just requires a comment over there. So you can check out that video over on the Peter Overzet's Deposit Kingdom YouTube channel. Brian, do you have a take after checking out the video? Do you think I should become an engagement farmer?
I did. I told you what you should do on Twitter. Just naked yoga every episode. At least just title it. You don't have to actually do it. I wouldn't want you to do the naked yoga anyways, Pete. I don't think that would really bring that would really bring them in. But maybe you could pay somebody.
I should have included that in the video. I did include a Lulz clip in that video, us talking about my perfect tweet, but I should have included, the metrics on the naked yoga title. And I mean, that's the most blatant, obvious case of clickbait not matching up to the content, but still working.
It worked like a charm. Yeah.
Yes.
Every episode.
Yoga. let's see here. Pete is an academic and we're all heathens. I don't know. I wouldn't call you a heathen, but that's fine.
What's the academic bit? What am I missing there?
I actually don't know. I don't know.
I thought you did something on another show.
Paul V win only man's. Yeah, man's with crypto down so bad and people aren't really buying man's coin on the secondary market, the royalties have really dried up. He might need to look for alternate income streams. There we go. This is a Lulz man's crossover, bending over in tight sports jerseys. That's what Brian wants.
Maybe it'd be like reverse, like pay you to not do that. You know, I will bend over. I'm like, no.
Yes, I will. I mean, only man's would crush as a bit. The problem is I think if we looked at the Twitter demographics for who follows man's, we're looking at about 99.9% male. So
yeah. Well, there are dudes who'll pay for dude content, Pete. It is out there. I mean, if you are looking to get some extra cash, I'm sure you can do it if you really want.
You're right.
Put your mind to it
for this.
You could do anything.
I mean, yeah. All right. Should we give the people some golf takes? I mean, the people clearly they need the golf takes. How are you feeling heading into PGA Championship here?
It's a crazy slate, in my opinion. I don't know what everyone else thinks. Speaking of engagement farming, usually what our PGA shows no one cares about. So it's interesting that people are like, hurry up and get to the PGA. So the weather is huge, and there's some injury concerns that I think you have to look at. Like, how do you want to start with this?
Well, I mean, let's start with some weather because Brian, this is how I know how serious you are about this. You sent me a link to the Tulsa, Oklahoma National Weather Service forecast.
Yeah, you could use any of them. There's a bunch of them out there. You want something with gusts. Typically, can't really see it there, but the weather's the wind is bad.
The wind is bad.
The wind is
bad.
Are
you coming for Kevin Ross' job?
And you know what? I didn't even look at his forecast. Maybe we should bring it up, see what he says. Why not? But yeah, so it's looking like the worst time is Thursday afternoon, Friday morning.
Okay.
You're gonna get hit by the most wind. You can see that gray zone there is when they're not playing. That's at night.
Yeah.
Going into the morning.
Let's see, Friday at 8
and there's some studs right at the peak there. Basically, the worst tee time is like when 3 studs go off. Scotty Scheffler, Colin Morikawa, and Jon Rahm. So like two of the 2 best players in the world, and Colin Morikawa is obviously very good too.
So where's your feel on, is the field going to overreact to that and they're all going to be lower owned than normal, or do you think it's correct to really go low on those guys?
It's PGA Championship, so I think they're going to underreact. There'll be a lot of casuals playing this weekend. And the weather has changed a little bit. I had it a little more extreme earlier. I might have to go back and do it again, but I did 2 like full processes for me. And the first time I was definitely stacking a lot more away from the weather. And then it's kind of died down a little bit. And so I toned that back. And I also had we could talk about next injury concerns, specifically with Hideki Matsuyama. So which is another reason why I might do it all over again. But I think the way to play it is the projections, assuming you use decent projections, should have weather baked in, right?
Mm-hmm.
So you don't want to go insane. But the thing with correlation, and this goes for football, every sport, it's not just like you get a database and you find out how much correlation there is between the number 3 hitter and the number 5 hitter in baseball, or the wide receiver 2 and the quarterback, right? And go, okay, that's the correlation. Let's say it's 0.4 in football, just for wide receiver 2, just making up numbers here. It's not really that number that is the end all be all. It's like when the game goes off. So like in baseball, every time you get a hit, it extends the game and gives me another chance to get a hit. So when we get a lot of hits and a lot of runs, our correlation is going to be much higher. So it's when the game goes off. So like when you want the game, you want those extreme, highly correlated, rare outcomes, as opposed to thinking just like, okay, there's a 0.2 correlation here. So that's what I get, 0.2. So like in golf, let's say the weather's even worse and the wind gusts are super high. Well, then you just completely fade it, play the other side, and stack it up, even, damn the projections type of thing.
Yeah.
And then so what I'm doing is I'm doing like half just normal, what I would do.
Yep.
And then almost half stacking, and then a little bit at the end of completely reverse and stacking the bad weather side, just in case the weather's completely wrong. And maybe it goes, maybe there's like a delay. There's always a chance of a delay, even in high winds, or the weatherman was just completely wrong and they get it backwards and the weather sucks for the earlier guys and you actually benefit. That's what I'm doing. I think that is technically touting what I just did there, but
Jeff Ma is coming for you. Yeah, no, I kind of like that too. I mean, that's almost like how I would build my showdown lineups with the Sims, right? Where it's like, okay, for NFL, I'll play one where this team blows them out, build, 20 lineups like that. I'll do one where the other team blows them out, do one where it's a super low scoring game. So it's like you're trying to build smart lineups within different scenarios.
What does correlation matter when the final score is 9-3 all field goals? There was no correlation at all, basically, right?
No.
But it matters a hell of a lot when it's 54, 42, and a couple guys get 3 tutties.
Right.
That's a lot of correlation. There's the correlation difference between those two games, between the QB and the wide receiver one's what? Like 0.05 to 0.9.
Yeah. And I wonder, my guess is if you were do they have like a higher stakes MME contest this week where it's like you would probably approach that differently than you would just the big millie maker, where there is going to be way more casuals underweighting it probably.
But yeah, probably the casual thing's important, like with these injuries too.
Yeah.
Because they're not going to be paying attention. So you're going to have, so like you could assume like, okay, Hideki's having these injury issues on a normal week. His ownership's probably going to come in a little lower, right? Like you could it's a reasonable assumption to have, but not this week. I wouldn't. No one's digging as deep as like we're going to show you some tweets here. But no one's going to be digging this deep. So like you're not getting in like an ownership savings.
Right.
By playing someone who's injured and you think is going to be lower owned because of that injury. You will on weather. You will on weather. So so Scotty Scheffler, John Rahm, and Kyle Morikawa are probably going to come in a few clicks lower than they rightfully should.
Mm-hmm.
And the ownership's going to reflect that depending on who you use.
Yeah. So let me pull up this tweet you sent me. This is stuff about Hideki here.
Mm-hmm. So we have like the injuries are, we'll just do Hideki first, I guess. He's the most important. So this is translated from a Yahoo Japan article. And you could just read his quotes. I'm not in bad condition, but my neck hurts again. Planning to go tomorrow, but I want to decide tomorrow morning. So that's pretty scary. Who knows how good this translator is?
Mm-hmm.
But then if you click on the guy the Hideki tracker that this originates from, you can see to the right there, your suggestions, that guy, and then go to tweets and replies. I should have sent this one to you too, but it should be like down. Okay. So he's actually, that's Hideki right now. If you go up to that video, he is on the practice range hitting. And then if you go down another tweet or two, he played the back nine. I think you probably already passed it.
Oh, it's Hideki was out on the course again today. Looks like he was playing the back nine after playing the front nine yesterday.
Right. Yeah. So I had him in, took him out, and now I'm thinking about putting him back in. My rule of thumb is if a guy in golf is questionable, I generally full fade him.
Yeah.
Hideki is a solid play. I will have like 30% of them, all else being equal. He'd be in probably like 30% of my lineups. He plays on the good side of weather too.
Yeah.
He's got a fucked up neck. He withdrew 3 events ago, but then he did play and got a decent score. I can't remember what it was, but at least top 20. So, I don't know what to do. I'd like to be a tout and tell you guys exactly what you should do, but I don't even know what I'm doing myself at this point.
What do you think of Lou's take here that he would maybe consider Hideki in 20 plus max in bigger fields, but not necessarily 3 max and under?
I would say more like how many people are in your contest more than. I mean, I guess that's kind of inherent in the example you're giving there, Lou, because like in 3 max generally there'll be less opponents, but there's 3. I'm sure there's 3 maxes with 10, 20, 30,000 people, but like if it's in a smaller field compared to a bigger field, like. I mean, and there's also like in the weaker the field, the less they're paying attention to this stuff.
And it kind of goes back to all that stuff, right? Where it's like, if you're in the super small field stuff with who's hawking this news, everyone's out leveling each other. I think you're not going to play Hideki because of the weather and blah, blah. It just keeps going. Whereas in the big stuff, it's just like, I don't know. How big is that news? Like are normies afraid of Hideki's health right now?
No, I don't think so. I do not think so. And I don't think we're going to be moving the needle. We need more tout, not less, huh?
Need more tout. We could circle. We're not done with golf here, but John asking if you had any take on all the blowback Rufus getting for selling his projections to ETR. Well, John, we talked about this all last week, although there was a follow-up at the Process Pod. Who was their guest? I'm blanking on his name now.
Rob Pizzola.
Rob Pizzola. It was, I would say, equally as frustrating as the first one. I didn't feel like I guess I will say Rufus, I think, articulated some of the differences with DFS a little bit better this time around, but still not in a way that I think got it through for Jeff.
Yes. And I don't think I mean, I didn't really like the way that Jeff was acting towards Rufus, but it's none of our business. I guess they're both adults, but yeah, I thought like, again, he was kind of rude to him. Their overall take of Rufus used to shit on touts. There go. He's being a hypocrite. Like, I guess I could understand that, but just not with providing just DFS projections for me.
Right. That's where, like you said, if we can find a clip of Rufus being like, this idiot or this what am I looking for? The word, deceitful individual selling their DFS projections. This is bad. I don't think he's ever had that quote. I do not think he has done what he's actually railed against. And that's why they didn't ever dig in. Even Rufus was saying, do you know what my problem is with touts? And they kind of like danced around that question as opposed to like getting into what is it that we dislike about touts? Ergo, is Rufus actually doing that thing we said we dislike about touts? Which the answer is no.
Definitely. I think I had a few tweets I threw out there about this and like polling people, seeing what they think. It was actually, some of the results were kind of surprising to me about what people believe. But I think I did kind of I want like a universal definition of what touting is in gambling, because you can't just say everything's touting. Right. That's just like, because there's a difference between someone touting their shovel company and sports betting touting. We know what everybody thinks with touting, right? And I think one thing for sure is I think there needs to be a call to action. Like, you need to be directly advocating one thing or another And when you provide all the projections for all the players, that's not calling to action for somebody to do something.
Right. It's the equivalent of like, you know, when you're watching those infomercials and they have those things and they're like, you hook this onto your abs. And while you sleep, then you'll wake up and in 2 months, you'll have 6-pack abs just from putting this device on when you sleep. Like you're promising a future outcome that you actually can't guarantee or verify in any way whatsoever versus just saying like, here's the thing that will massage your belly while you sleep. Right.
Yeah. Right. And I did the third tweet was kind of a joke. Like is saying 50, heads or tails is saying 50% chance of heads happening, 50% chance of tails happening. Is that touting if you said that? Right. And obviously it's a joke, but it's really not that different than DFS projections. Like you're providing all the outcomes and that then people can use to play DFS. And so like if you provided all the percentages for a 6-sided die, but no one knew what those were, but somehow, you were guessing and you got it pretty close. Like that's touting. It's like, and then I go, okay, I'm going to bet, 6, I want to roll a 6 this time. Like you didn't tell me to do that. Like, or like if someone uses those numbers for something else, like to try to sports bet or whatever, like that's not their intended use. In this first question, I just said, is providing DFS projections touting? And the majority of people said, yes, that is touting. I think kind of what people read that as, and I could be wrong, but this is what I think, is our DFS sites touting sites. And like, is Awesemo.com a touting site? Is ETR a touting site? And the answer to that is yes, they definitely are. They are touting sites. But just those numbers, those projections, I don't think that's touting. Now, when you have shows and then you do give picks and you have sports betting picks and all the other sites these sites provide, yeah, they're touting. They're touting sites. They have both. But just the DFS projections alone is not touting.
Right. It's the same thing and you could use brick75.com as a pretty good example. You post some ownership projections up there. You don't sell them, right? People just need to make an email address, right?
Yeah. No, they're free.
So it's like, okay, well now let's go down this thought experiment of, okay, if Brian was selling his ownership projections, is that touting? Okay. So he's not selling them. He just wants your email. Okay, he's still asking for something. Is that touting? Like where does it end with that? Not to even mention, you're not telling people, you're not editorializing how to use that information. You're not saying this is going to result in gain. You are literally posting information that you use yourself on a site in exchange for an email address.
Right. Yeah, for sure. And it's the ownership of all the players. If I just said like, I'm not necessarily sure, but if you could say, well, it's implied in there, but not really. It's not really implied. I guess if you said, I think Hideki Matsuyama is going to be owned at 1% tomorrow. Like that's it. That's all the advice. And you're like, that's way too low. That's touting, I guess. Like, but if you just said, here's all what I'm guessing, all the ownership for all the players are. Yeah. I don't see how that's touting. And like they're like, I'm not sure about intent matters, but I'd be up for hearing both sides of it. Because the way I think of touting is usually the Vegas Dave, the misleading part of it. But I mean, I guess you could be a good-willed tout. You could be like, no, here's my picks. I really think I'm good.
Well, yeah. And like, and I mean, you could use me as another use case example. So like the way I've done my DFS content, like, sure, I've had sponsorships, like Run the Sim sponsor my content, but when I like touted something, I don't like directly benefit in any way if I'm right or wrong. I guess you could say that if I'm continually right, then people will want to sign up for the tools that I'm presenting. So I guess in that sense, that would be touting. I'm trying to think of other examples though, where it's like, if you're not benefiting from that, if you're just like, it's like, again, using my analogy of two guys on a Dolphins podcast saying what they think is going to happen with the Dolphins this year. And it's like, I mean, yes, they could have sponsorships for the show, but I don't know. It's such a weird.
It almost feels like they
in.
need. There's so many degrees of touting that they need a new name for the real bad actors. Like they need a name for the people who charge, who are misleading, and have a direct call to action. Like that's the one we're all quote unquote worried about. I Googled like Microsoft lawsuits after the show because I wanted to tweet Jeff Ma, and like they had to pay like $100 million fee to like all these European countries because Microsoft's bribing politicians and shit. Like this is like from last week.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're touting this, Jeff Ma? So like, I think there needs to be like a tout, so like we said before, Davis Maddock puts out Kansas City Chiefs +3, book it.
Yeah.
Right. He just tweets that out. Yeah. Technically that's touting. But it's a call to specific action. But he's not forcing anyone's hand. Everyone knows he's a Chiefs fan. Like only an idiot would go blow like a significant amount of money on it. You could fade him too if you want. You think he's a smooth brain, right? Like it's not really touting. Is it really touting? Like you almost need a different name for that at this point. The thing that would get you as upset as Jeff Ma was needs a new name. It's not that thing. And I don't even think that thing is as close to just providing all those ownership projections. I think Jeff was susceptible to the same thing. I think my poll showed is most people read what Rufus does and they go, oh, you work for one of those DFS tout sites. So ergo, you work for a tout site. You're basically a tout. I think that's about as far as the logic goes.
Right. And I think I maybe talked about this on the show in the fall. Like I'm very fortunate kind of with my deal with Underdog and stuff. They're never saying you need to tweet out pick'em slips or whatever. Like there's nothing like that. They want me to just do the things I enjoy doing. But like I didn't like tweeting out pick'em slips because I felt like a tout and I didn't have any good data or reason to back out why I thought this was a profitable bet for someone. But on the other hand, in that sense too, like a lot of people like sweating the same thing with me during a game. It's just like, let's get a little action. We can talk about it. People did enjoy that. But I was so conflicted because of the exact dynamic you're saying, where I had the don't be a tout, don't mislead people one side of your brain. Yeah. And then the other, like hearing legitimate feedback. Pete, who you on tonight? Like, let's have a bet. Let's have a sweat, in the same way my friends want to have a communal sweat together. And it's like, there is a fucking difference between those two things. Yeah. But from my part, even my head, like it was hard to segment those out.
Right. And it's this kind of like, what's the word? I have a word I want to say, but it's not appropriate. It's like this like single-mindedness of like, no, touting is when you say anything about a sports bet. That's touting. It's like, okay, but then there's clearly degrees. Only an unreasonable person wouldn't say there's degrees here of touting. So we probably just need a new word. And whatever that word is probably what Rufus was complaining about for all these years. I don't know. I don't listen to every single one of their shows, and I probably didn't listen to their earlier ones at all. I think I started like 4 years ago. I don't even know when they started, but Papa Gates told me about their podcast. Actually, I didn't even know it existed at the time. But like there needs to be a new word. Whatever that word is probably what Rufus was talking about, and that is not providing all the DFS projections for all the players and not having any specific call to action.
Yeah. And honestly, the way like I'm now, as we kind of continue to untangle and try, like in the same way. So Jack Settleman for Underdog, he tweets out all kinds of slips. He jokes around.
Jack's a tout.
See, no, this is what I was going to say. Like, what he's doing is a content play. Jack readily admits, he shows his receipts. He's like, I've been getting absolutely slammed. I keep doing these 5 legs. I tell him, Jack, maybe scale it back to 2 leg, like boost your win rate. Right. It's a content play for Jack. Jack's not a tout. He's literally saying he's asking his subscribers for plays, and then he's sharing them, and people like to sweat with him together. It's a content play.
Right.
And so that's like, to me, like the insane with Davis. When Davis fires off the I like Chiefs, that's a content play.
Right. Right.
It's an engagement farming play. It all comes back to engagement farming.
Yeah. He thinks he's in Jack's mind. He's probably like, no, I'm paying for engagement. Like I'm losing these bets for engagement. And that shows you like the difference between young guys and old school guys, right? Like young guys have like no clue what you're talking about. They probably like, what are you talking about? Like, no, I'm just putting up this stupid little fun bet. This fun little thing. And like, no, the old school guys are like, no, you can't do that. You cannot, you cross the tout game line. I also like, what content does the sports betting industry expect to provide? And I think a lot of the people who bitch about it are like the Seville folks, whatever. They don't want good content out there. Like it only hurts their bottom line. Or they don't care. They're not going to provide content. Right? They're not making podcasts. They're not doing shows. So what do they care? You know what I mean? Like try doing 5 hours a week, you know, and talking about sports betting. Like it's not easy doing 1 hour a week and just bullshitting. How does somebody have my, oh, you put that in there. Okay.
Oh, like, sorry. I know.
Twitch account. Oh, it's Pete.
The way the StreamYard works, I meant to just comment on mine because KJ says there's a tweet thread from Rufus in March 2019 where he lays out the idea of touting. I think that would be interesting to read if he can find the link. Sorry, but what were you saying?
Yeah. I was just talking about the difference between old school, new school, like Jack, like how Jack's pretty damn young, right? Isn't he like 22 or something?
I think 24. Yeah.
24. And like I like they're like these guys grew up on YouTube and stuff like that, you know, like they don't care about the sports betting scandal of 1989 or something. You know what I mean? Like, they don't care about the email chains in like the late 90s and all like none of that stuff. Like they don't give a shit about Dr. Bob, right? Or just any of these pay to play originating, you know, original sports betting companies. It's like,
well, the other thing to circle back to and I'm just now remembering some of the conversation on their most recent episode about the process, but it almost seemed like both Rob and Jeff were wanting to prosecute Rufus for something that hadn't even happened yet. They're like, but you might sell picks down the road on unabated. Oh, you might, you know, give out specific plays on ETR down the road. And so it's like, okay, like maybe we fucking cross that bridge when it comes. Like clearly that's different. You know, if they start selling picks on unabated, I feel like we probably crossed the Rubicon at that point, but are we going to hold him to something he hasn't done yet?
Right. Yeah. And Rob said there, I'm remembering that too. He's like, don't say never, never say never. It's like that.
Ricky D in the chat.
Oh, wow.
Ricky says here, isn't providing full projection significantly more than touting, though? It's providing way more of the playbook than just a random tout like Big T telling you to play Bryson every week.
No, I don't think so. Like, I think it's more, it's because you can get these projections from other sources. You could get them from your own. I don't think it tells you specifically what to play. Now you could say like, okay, but as soon as I pump that into an optimizer, it's telling me what to play, kind of something like that. But like, I think the moment you do something like that, it's kind of not touting anymore, Ricky. Like, because touting, is in my head at least, is like a specific call to action. Bears +6. I go click Bears +6. My day is over. Like, and when Rufus puts these numbers out there, it's your day's just starting.
Yeah.
And it's every single play is listed out. So who's he touting? Right? You could say, oh, he's obviously touting the value guy. And it's like, okay, yeah, I guess. And then, or you could say like, he's touting this guy because he's higher than the industry average of everyone else. But like, I don't think that's fair either. I think when you combine everything ETR provides, maybe that's more touting because they have ownership, which he doesn't do, but they have ownership, projections, they have an article, you know, they have a show, stuff like that. When you combine it all, sure. But I think just those projections, I would say it's not touting.
Well, it's funny too, because the way, you know, it's like say for DFS play, it's like, I want to see who ETR has in the top plays, because I know that those are the guys I'm able to steer away from in tournaments, because that's the chalk right there. And then I'm going to listen to Leone and Dink give their flag plant GPP plays on Friday on their show. I'm going to fade those guys because they're going to be too high owned in the small field GPPs with everyone consuming that content. It's almost like the opposite. It's like, I'm taking your information and doing the opposite with it, because I think that gives me the best chance to win.
Also, there's no, in sports betting, the number moves. So you never get the number down when they tout it out, even if they are a winner. Unless they do that whole notification system where everyone lines up their bets and then they tell you, like Right Angle Sports or ETR does with their props. If you don't, the numbers don't change for DFS really. Like, with the wind being crazy this week, it kind of might change a little bit here or there, but you don't have that aspect of, even if you're a good faith actor, that they can't, not all these subscribers can get your bet down because the line will change, right? So but I really do think we're talking, the levels are so different that it needs a new word. And what the new word, we're talking Vegas Dave. That's the fucking tout, right? The guy who's lying or charging an arm and a leg through marketing, and he has a direct call to action on one specific play that takes you 2 seconds to do. Like, that's what we all know a tout is, right? This other stuff is just like grasping at straws, and they're pissed at Rufus probably because of this threat.
Yeah. And so this, I'm just going to scroll through this quickly. So Rufus is showing a chart here explaining why buying picks from a tout is a bad idea. Rufus saying there's going to be more and more touts out there looking to make a quick buck. They're going to be many suckers who don't understand the industry or probability that are all too happy to pay a tout. But selling picks crosses an ethical line in my book. Touts are outsourcing the risk to someone else. If their picks win long-term, they will move markets and their customers won't be able to get released prices. If they lose, they get paid despite providing no value. I mean, and again, by this definition, we've already seen there's lots of people on Twitter who say they use ETR's golf projections as part of their process. They get value from those projections. Brian, you've even said you've gotten some value. You pay for those picks and you get value, maybe in a different way than a casual DFS player would, but you get value from those projections.
Yeah, I use them. I hope he does them again next year. And that's exactly what I thought. What I just said too was this tweet he said where the line moves. So like that would be like the more accurate definition of a tout, direct call to action. And either they're A, bad faith, they can't win, or B, they're good faith and they know that line's not going to be there for everybody else. Neither of those things apply to just DFS projections, in my opinion.
Right.
If you want to say like you're kind of touting because you're saying this guy's good value, okay, fine. But that's not what we're really talking about, right? We're really talking about the Vegas Daves, the pick sellers, right? That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. Right. And again, there's also, I think sometimes too, it's like people always say, well, why would you give away your picks if you could just win with them yourself? And it's like, because first of all, Rufus isn't, again, I don't want to throw him under the bus too much, but I don't think he's like a super successful high stakes DFS player, right? Like he's not.
I don't think he plays much at all.
Yeah. So, I mean, that's where there's not like, a do as I say, not as I do element here. It's just like, hey, these projections help me with sports betting. If you guys think they'll be useful to you for golf, yeah, I'm willing to sell them to you. And you get to cut out all the additional work that you would need to do to make your own projections. Like, I don't know. I guess I still don't understand how that's touting.
It's a fine value proposition. Ricky D is a capitalist, a red-blooded capitalist. So he understands full well that this is a good value situation for everybody because Rufus is done betting his numbers. So he doesn't even have to think about it. He could just provide his DFS projections. It's not the same thing he's betting anyways. He barely plays DFS. ETR benefits from having those numbers in his name. We benefit by having sharper projections over a field, especially this week where there's a lot of casuals who are not going to pony up that $600 at ETR. Everybody wins.
Yeah. I think there's only one way to end this show with some good old fashioned PGA touting and lineup building. Brian and I giving our stone cold locks of the week here to wrap up.
Our guarantees. We want you to dupe us this week because it's so good that we're guaranteed to win. We have a couple more injury things really quick. So
yeah,
Koepka has some like hip thing going on.
Okay.
I think I have like 2 lineups of him currently because it is a Koepka championship week. He always does good in championships. I figured two would be fine. Brian Harmon withdrew last week, and he's on the good side of the weather. I'm playing him. Speaking of touting, I am playing him. Because I think there's more of a chance he was just resting for this than he was actually hurt. I could be wrong. So I think there's a chance he's not even hurt at all. And I think that's all and then there's the 2, like the 3 guys who have chronic injuries. So Berger, Jason Day, and Louis Oosthuizen. And so I'm not like specifically fading any of them. I think they're on the wrong side, so I don't have a lot of them anyways. But Oosthuizen on a championship, I think he's not going to withdraw. I think he does that more in the events that don't matter much. Day has a chronic back injury, but he's been playing pretty well. So, like, if you wanted to rock with him, I wouldn't. And I don't think he's going to be going to Disney World in a championship, so I wouldn't worry about that. And Berger's also got some slight back thing going on, but I'm not going to completely fade any of the 3. I guess if I had to pick out of those 3, since it's Tout Wednesday, I would probably fade Day because he's like actually has chronic back injuries.
Not to get too sacrilegious, but it's like Tout Wednesday sounds like Black Friday. All right. You know 110% more about this slate than me, but I still am going to fire off a few picks and you can guide me in one direction or the other, but you kick us off here.
All right. Xander's my number 1 owned guy. So let's go with him.
Whoa. So you're not using the typical Brian strategy? You don't want
no, because I'm touting. I got to really up my game.
Okay. I'm just looking at a few little numbers here. How do you feel about Justin Rose?
I don't think I have much of him. Let me check here. He's on the right side at least.
The right side of history.
God, Justin Rose. I have 2%. I'm not in love with it, but
all right, we can change it out if we need
okay,
to.
Yeah, leave that.
All right,
for now.
You're back.
All right, how about a little Alex Noren?
Little Noren?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so a couple of cheapies here. How do you feel? I think you might have mentioned him earlier. How do you feel about Sam Burns?
Let's see here. Down the right side. Yep, I like him.
Okay, let's get Sam Burns in here.
Let's do a little. Let's see Rory, since we got a lot of salary. I think pop Rory in there.
All right, Rory. That gives us 7,700, or also if we come down off of Rose, would maybe give us a little bit more too.
Bryson withdrew. I didn't have any of him in either.
Let's see. In this 7,700 range, you're looking at Leishman, Adam Scott, Fleetwood, Young, Bradley, Jason Day, the Gooch on the loose.
Young or Fleetwood probably for me.
Mm-hmm. Do you want to come off Rose?
No. This way I could blame the lineup on you.
Yeah, I want
I would do Young. Actually, switch to Young.
Okay.
This lineup probably
say this lineup fucks.
Rose might be the only thing keeping us from duping. Probably.
You're welcome. Brian wanted to dupe. He wanted to have a train. He wanted a tout train. All the Brick 75 avatars with the same lineup. That's what he wanted.
I have him at 2% on. I have my ownership up, by the way, and I'm not going to redo it for Bryson. Sorry, but people want to go to my website. It's free.
There you go. Check out the website. Justin Rose will be who takes us to the promised land. We appreciate you guys tuning in today. We'll obviously have the audio version up later. Check out my video over on the Deposit Kingdom YouTube channel. Let me know if you think I should become an engagement farmer or not. Anything else, Brian, on your end?
No. I'm trying to think. I think just PGA's up. Yeah, pod will be out right after this.
Sounds good. You guys can catch me tonight over on Ship Chasing, going to draft a best ball team as we are wont to do. Always love hanging out with you guys in the chat. Thank you for letting us engage with you. Thank you for letting us tout to you. We love you. We'll see you guys next time.